Hey, welcome back to the Flipstik channel, where we talk business, entrepreneurship, saving, investing, and how to make yourself a millionaire. If you want to learn more about all the things we cover, make sure you like and subscribe this video. Maybe even drop a comment. Let us know how we're doing, what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see if you have questions, and we'll definitely be sure to get to them. I will reply to all comments, so make sure to hit us up. Today, I want to talk about saving. How I saved $100,000 in just 4 years. That's right, $100,000 in 4 years. And this was without a college degree, a high school diploma. Like we just had to grind it out. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. So, I had just dropped out of school. I had come home, and I definitely would love to tell you guys about that. So if you want to hear about why and how I dropped out of college, make sure to drop a comment below. But I had just dropped out of school. I was back home, and I told myself, look, I don't want to be one of those deadbeat kids in his basement, in his home, in his parents' home, like with no money. Like I couldn't do that, especially having come from the high school I came to, where a lot of kids went off to Harvard, Yale, all these fancy schools. It just couldn't be me. So I told myself, hey, I need to be making what the average college graduate is making by the time my friends graduate. And I had 3 years to get there. And this is kind of the story of how I got there. So I started off working at Sprint. So I was in the retail space. I was selling cell phone accessories. So Flipstik, cell phone accessories, you kind of see where I got some of this knowledge from. I was selling cell phone accessories. I was making like 10 bucks an hour plus commission, and I was really good. I've always been a great salesperson, and I tell anyone that sales is one of the most important abilities that you can have. Not just being able to sell a product, but being able to sell yourself. It'll help you no matter what profession you're in. So I was good at sales at Sprint. I quickly worked my way up, got a few promotions, became an assistant manager, and I was doing pretty good there, but I wasn't really making the amount of money that I wanted to make. And before I get too far ahead of myself, let me tell you the kind of hole that I was in just coming into this, because I didn't start at $0. I was actually negative in the hole, because when I was up at school, I hadn't paid my room and board bill. And y'all know these colleges will come after you for this money. And they were coming after me. They said, we need our bills, we need the room, we need the board, we need it all. So I think I owed them, it really wasn't that much, it was maybe about $4,000. So that was my first task. It's, all right, how do I save $4,000? And basically, I didn't spend money on anything. At the time, I didn't have a car. I bought a bus pass. It took me an hour to get to work. I bought a bus pass, and I went to and from work. I didn't spend money on anything. When people were like, Akeem, you want something off the dollar menu? I said, no, I have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and that's what I'm gonna eat. And I did this for maybe, I wanna say about 3 months. And literally within 3 months, I had saved the $4,000, paid off my entire school balance, and now I was at zero. So, I felt good that I had paid it off, but I hated taking the bus. For all those out there who know what it's like to have to take the bus to work, you get up, it's cold, you're walking all the time, you gotta sit there. It takes you an hour to get someplace. It would only take you 15 minutes to get if you had a car. But the bus is the devil, okay? And I was like, I have to get a car. So that was my next challenge, save money to get a car. And I ended up saving about $5,000 in another 3 or 4 months. And I want to tell you exactly how I got to that first milestone, right? A big part of that was monitoring all of my spending and all the income coming in and out. Some people call it budgeting. And I did that with an app called Mint. Let me show you. All right, so this is the website for Mint. And essentially it's an app that lets you track your budget, how much money is coming in, how much money is going out. You can connect your bank account, your credit cards, everything. And so I tracked everything on this app. And I set a goal in the app. It lets you set dollar goals, and I set $5,000 goal for me to be able to buy my first car, cash. And I watched it every paycheck, slowly notch up, notch up, notch up. And whenever I was thinking about how much money I would want to spend, I would go into these little budgets made simple, and I would see, okay, how much have I spent on fast food? How much have I spent on transportation? And it would average it out every month. So I would know when I was getting close or getting further away or when I overspend, and I could see that day by day. And it really kept me in line. I would say that this app was probably like the most important helpful tool to help me save money. Because a lot of us, we spend money and we don't think about it. And then we just look at our bank account later and we're like, hey, there ain't no money up in here. And that's because we're not really keeping track. But with Mint, I was able to keep track every day. And like I said, maybe 3 months, I was able to save $5,000. So now I've saved $4,000, paid it, saved another $5,000, and I was able to buy my first car cash off Craigslist. That's another story for another day. But I was able to get my car. I was off the bus. And, I'm basically 6 months into working, and I've got my car, paid off all my debt. So the next thing was, okay, I'm doing good. I'm not making as much money as I would love to make, but I want to start saving. So I think I set a goal for myself of saving $10,000. I always did like $10,000 increments. And I just got on my Mint app, I start saving. But my job did something called 401k match. A lot of you may have heard of that. A lot of jobs offer it. And so I decided to take advantage of it. I put in exactly the amount that they would match, which I want to say was around 3% or so. So 3% of your paycheck you put in, then they would give you an additional 3% to also match your 401k. So that way I was actually getting double the money, right? I'm actually getting paid twice. I'm putting my money in and then they're paying me again for the match. And I started to see my 401k grow. And what a 401k is it's a retirement account. It's a retirement account that you can invest in a selection of investments that are set forth by your account manager, usually your job. They pick a couple of what's called mutual funds, and mutual funds are basically, they're a collection of investments that are managed by a person or a mutual fund investment group. And I'll get into that a little bit later because I started doing this stuff independently a little later. So I had my 401k, so that was good. And I wanted to start learning about investments. And luckily I had an assistant manager that had done a lot of investing and he started teaching me about it. Now he was doing something called penny stocks. And we're not gonna get super detailed into it, but penny stocks are essentially very low grade stocks that cost pennies. They're not like Walmart or Target or anything like that. These are things that you've probably never heard of, tiny little companies that go public and allow people to buy their stocks. And he had made like 20 grand in these penny stocks. So I see 20 grand and I'm like, oh man, I gotta get into this. I lost about $2,500. We'll leave it at that for now. If you want to see a video where I go in detail about my investment history, all the things I've learned, we can get into that. After I lost that $2,500, and mind you, I'm making maybe around $30,000 a year at this time, I was heated. So I decided to do something a little safer. And that's when I got into mutual funds on my own. Let me show you a little bit about those. Once I learned about mutual funds, I literally searched top mutual funds and started doing research on them. And I came to a page just like this and I started seeing, Fidelity on there. I would see iShares on there and I would just start to look into them. And generally the way mutual funds work is they're a collection of similar stocks. So as we see here, we see some of these are, for example, this guy, Delaware SIMID Cap Growth Institutional. Generally these growth or cap growth and institutional funds, they're your blue chip stocks, your Walmart, your Target, your Apple, Microsoft. They're all household names that you've heard of. And they usually go up and down with the overall economy. So if the overall economy is doing good, the blue chips usually do good. If the overall economy is doing bad, the blue chips usually do bad. So I invested in a couple of those, but I also got a little bit more detailed on things that I just thought were gonna see a lot of progress. And one of the big ones I did was Fidelity's Biotechnology fund. That fund made me, over the course of about 5 years, thousands of dollars. Biotech fund. Here it is here. Fidelity Select Biotechnology Portfolio. This thing just took off for me. And if you see right here where this spike is, I invested probably right down here in 2012, 2011, 2012-ish. And I sold way up here in 2015. So it made quite a bit of money. It was a great fund to invest in. And it was a lot safer. So what I would suggest is if you want to get into investing, mutual funds are a great place to start because they're very safe, they're managed by someone else, and over the course of a long-term period of time, they typically go up. And another really awesome place to start investing is an ETF. An ETF is similar to a mutual fund, but you trade it like a stock. So you can trade it every single day, like throughout the day it goes up and down. Where a mutual fund, you trade it just each day. So you can trade it at the end of the day, or you can trade it at the end of the day the next day, but you can't buy it or sell it in the middle of the day. So that's a little quick investing lesson for you. So here I am investing in mutual funds and ETFs, pretty safe bets, and I'm just saving. So then I get the opportunity to switch jobs. That same boss that taught me about investing in the penny stocks eventually invited me to work for a new company, for Verizon, in their corporate side, selling what's called Fios. Some of you guys may know what Fios is. Essentially, it's like cable TV, internet type services. And when I went to Verizon, I started making a killing. I was a top salesperson there. I was always at the top of the charts. I ended up winning this big program called Rockstar, which was basically who could give the best pitch of Verizon services. And of course I won. That's also why, if you don't know, I also pitched my business on Shark Tank. I've been pitching for a long time. So anyone who knows about my OG pitches back in the day, they know I can pitch a product. So I was making great money at Verizon. They also matched 401k, so I took advantage of that. And, I was really on a roll, and I kept seeing money save. It would be 10,000, then 20, then 30, then 40, then 50, then 60, and it just kept adding up and adding up. And mind you, this entire time, I just had a high school diploma. So, I wasn't working in like these really high-end, corporate America type jobs. I was just doing sales, and I was still saving money. But I don't want you to think that, I was just making so much money that everyone who had my job was saving this kind of money, because that wasn't the case. When I started working at Verizon, eventually I was making $80,000+ a year. But there were people who had the same job as me, who were great salespeople like me, who'd had that job for 8 years, and they didn't own a home, they didn't own their car, they didn't have any savings, because they spent money as they made it. And, I'm super grateful that I've always been the type of person where it's like, no, I want to put money away toward a goal. And that goal may be something short-term, like a PlayStation, or maybe something long-term, like a house, or just being able to build my net worth. But when you learn how to save, it opens up doors for you. Because eventually, when I was at the final job I ever had and ever will have, which was at Square, a great company, I was able to just walk away. I had no plan, no backup, and actually walked away from 2 jobs without other jobs lined up. But I was able to do that because I had savings. So, you may have heard the story of Flipstik. You may have seen me on Shark Tank. You may say, oh, he did this is amazing. But really the way I was able to do that was saving. So it's super crucial to develop that discipline of being able to put money away. And today there's more apps than ever. There are other apps that will let you save money for every dollar you spend. So essentially you spend $1, it puts $1 away. You spend $10, it puts $10 away. And there's so many tools out there that can help you get to these goals. So if I could recommend anything, it would just be saving. Even if you don't get into the investment side of things, mutual fund, ETFs, 401ks, if you just save, you can go a long way. And so 4 years after starting that first job at Sprint, I looked at my bank account and it had $90,000+ in it. That was across my 401k, my personal investment portfolio, and in my savings account. And at that point, I was at Square and I left my job. And I had no plan other than I was doing marketing. And within a month, I started Flipstik. And then there's a whole story that came after that. And if you want to hear about it, make sure to like and subscribe this video. I have so many things I want to tell you guys about. If you have any questions about what I talked about in this video, you want me to go in depth on some of these things, make sure to drop a comment down below. Definitely helps us out. And other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.